आदरणीय दर्शकवृन्द नमस्कार। कार्यक्रम संवादमा यहाँलाई हार्दिक स्वागत छ। दर्शकवृन्द, एभरेस्ट टेलिभिजनको प्रस्तुति कार्यक्रम संवादमा हामीले विभिन्न व्यक्तित्वहरूसँग कुरा गर्दै आइरहेका छौं। जनताका प्रश्न र जनताका विभिन्न प्रश्नहरू गर्दै तपाईहरू सामु तपाईहरूका प्रश्नका जवाफहरू हामीले पस्किने काम गर्दै आइरहेका छौं। दर्शकवृन्द, समाज सेवा एउटा पवित्र कार्य हो, तर विभिन्न कारणले समाज सेवा पनि दूषित हुँदै गइरहेको छ। समाज सेवा जस्तो पवित्र कार्यलाई दूषित पार्ने विभिन्न संघ संस्थाहरू पनि छन्, व्यक्तिहरू पनि छन्। यसैबीच संसारभरका विभिन्न मानिसहरू नेपाली समाजको रूपान्तरणका लागि, प्रगतिका लागि, विकासका लागि चासो दिएर नेपाली जनताको प्रगति र विकासका लागि समाज सेवाको भावनाले प्रेरित भएर नेपालमा आएर समाज सेवा गर्दै आएका मानिसहरू पनि छन्। उहाँहरूको पवित्र भावनाले गर्दै आएका समाज सेवालाई पनि दुरुत्साहित गर्ने, दूषित पार्ने र यो पवित्र कार्यलाई अपवित्र बनाउने विभिन्न संघ संस्थाहरू पनि छन्। यसैबीच नेपालमा लामो समयदेखि नेपाली महिलाहरूको सशक्तिकरणका लागि पवित्र भावनाले नेपाली विद्यार्थीहरू, महिला विद्यार्थीहरूको शैक्षिक उन्नयनका लागि, शैक्षिक प्रगतिका लागि काम गर्दै आएको इम्पावर द नेपाली गर्ल्स संस्थाका एकजना संस्थापक सदस्यसँग आज हामी संवाद गर्न लागिरहेका छौं। उहाँ अमेरिकादेखि नेपालसम्म आएर नेपाली विद्यार्थीहरूको शैक्षिक उन्नयनका लागि समाज सेवाको भावनाबाट प्रेरित भएर कसरी लाग्नुभयो, किन नेपाललाई नै छान्नुभयो र नेपाली महिलाहरूको शैक्षिक उन्नयन र प्रगतिका लागि यति धेरै चासो र चिन्ताका साथ किन आउनुभयो भन्ने लगायतका विषयमा बुझ्नका लागि आज हाम्रो कार्यक्रम संवादमा अमेरिकाका एकजना प्रोफेसर प्याट्रिक मोल्टनलाई आज हामीले निम्त्याएका छौं। उहाँ अमेरिका स्थित नर्थ वेस्टर्न स्टेट युनिभर्सिटी लुजियानाका प्रोफेसर हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँ नेपालमा आएर नेपाली समाजको रूपान्तरणका लागि, शैक्षिक विकासका लागि, शैक्षिक उन्नयनका लागि समर्पित भएर लाग्नुको कारण के हो र कुन कुराले उहाँलाई यस्तो गर्न अभिप्रेरित गर्यो भन्ने विषयमा आज हामी उहाँसँग साक्षात्कार गर्न लागिरहेका छौं, उहाँसँग बुझ्न लागिरहेका छौं। आउनुहोस् दर्शकवृन्द, कार्यक्रम संवादको आजको एपिसोडमा प्रोफेसर प्याट्रिक मोल्टनलाई स्वागत गरौं। Dr. Patrice, I would like to welcome you in this program.
Thank you so much.
Actually, we have been making a dialogue with different personalities, especially raising the questions and then that is related to different personalities, those who have been working in different sector. And especially we make a dialogue with the political personalities and the social workers, those who have been working in different part and different nook and corner in the world. And then today in this session, actually, we are going to talk with you about your organization, about your service, about your profession, and then you have been working here in Nepal as a social worker since last 10 years, and especially for the transformation and for the progress of Nepalese girl child education. And so let us start with your introduction first before starting the formal session, please.
So you just would like for me to tell a little about myself to get started. Dr. Patrice Moulton, as has been shared, I'm a professor of clinical psychology in the U.S. In a graduate program where I teach there. I'm a Fulbright scholar as well. I served here in Nepal in 2018 as a Fulbright specialist. And I do a lot of advocacy work for children, women, and human rights. And it is my pleasure and my honor to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you for your nice information. That means you have been working for children rights, human rights, and women rights. Okay, so I came to know that you have been working specially for the transformation and for the promotion of Nepalese girl child education, But my question is that, why did you choose Nepalese girl child specially to work with them? Can I get information about it, please?
Of course. I've always been interested in education. I've made education my life in the U.S. and in all the other work that I've done over the years. I believe that education changes lives. I believe educating girls specifically changes their life, it changes their family's life, and it changes the lives of their children and the next generation. I don't really believe there's a lot of things that are more important than providing young women with education. Young women make up half the world, and so many of them never have the opportunity to dream of an education and providing for their families and providing for their communities and giving back. And I think that's such an important thing to support. And why Nepal specifically is because Nepal is known to be one of the poor countries in the world. Women's rights are still very limited here. Many young women don't have the opportunity to get an education, and it's such a reasonable thing to be able to give. It's something that we can do, and we can do a lot of and make a difference.
Okay. I want to know one thing from you, that actually you may have your one child, you may have your one children, that you have given birth. And then, but you have your special responsibility to take care of your one children as well. But right now, then you are from America, you are the citizen of America, but you have been working here in Nepal, and especially for the Nepalese children to educate them, and then for their educational progress, and you are providing many more facilities to them. But my question that why did you choose Nepal? You can choose another countries also. There are many more countries in the world, but you have chosen Nepal. But I just want to know that what are the reasons behind it that you are choosing Nepal for it?
I think it's because we can make a large impact here. There's a lot of countries that if I go to, the American dollar doesn't go as far. We can educate many, many children through the scholarships that we provide here. So if I chose another country, I might not be able to help as many children. And when I come to Nepal, I find that the people are very open and warm and appreciative of they want their daughters to be educated, and they want their children to have positive futures and a chance to have jobs and contribute, and it's just a very rewarding place to work. I find the people absolutely lovely here.
Great. But actually, there is another interesting question with you, that you have chosen girls, and especially female and women empowerment, and there are many boys as well, but you don't prefer boys, but mostly your organization especially work for the girl child. My question on it actually, why did you choose girl child, and did you make any kinds of research before choosing girl child to work here? Did you make any kinds of research or not?
We did make research. We had a lot of research about that. And actually, I get that question a lot because as a mother, I have a son. And
Yes.
people often ask me, you're raising a son, and yet you choose to work to educate young women. Why not young men? And my answer to that is always, I certainly believe in young men's education. I believe young men should be educated equally. But young men around the world typically have more rights and more education than young women, just for the mere fact that it's a male child. Male children are given privilege that female children are not. And so since female children are the ones who have the greatest need, that's the group that we wanted to work with.
Okay, then can I know that actually what is the first date, and then in which year you have been here first time in Nepal?
Oh goodness, 2013 would have been my first visit to
Okay.
Nepal,
It is about 10 years before.
about 10 years before.
What are the things, what are the factors that motivates you, especially to work with girl child? What kinds of situation and story you have that you have noticed here in Nepal to work with the girl child? You might have seen some kinds of terrible and some kinds of painful situation you might have read here, because before starting to work with a girl child in Nepal, to work especially in in education, you might have studied any kinds of special situation, or then any kinds of painful story you have seen before working in that sector.
We've seen so many painful stories,
please.
too many painful stories of young women who were very bright, making scores, but in very small villages, maybe their family couldn't afford for them to be home anymore, literally, and it was time to have them become married and be independent in that way of the family's needs. And so the girl never had the opportunity. We've seen so many young girls sold into domestic service because
Yes.
their families couldn't afford to have them at home, and therefore most of those young women's opportunity for an education went away as well. We've seen many, many sad stories, and what motivates me to keep doing it is having young women from the very first time I came here. There was a young girl who pulled me to the side in Chitwan and said, "Please, Miss Doctor, please don't forget me. Please don't forget me." And I was hooked,
Oh,
and I had to come back.
such kinds of loving words motivate you to come back frequently in Nepal, especially for social service. Okay.
Can I just add, I've also watched in 10 years, I've watched that same little girl grow up and have a college education now. I know her family. I've known her for 10 years, and she now is a young professional
Yeah.
that is working as a young
Yes,
professional.
I'm going to talk about the same, because you have made your special contribution, especially for the education of girl child. During last 10 years, sorry, since last 10 years, you have been working in this sector for their transformation and for their progress as well, especially for the promotion and progress in education. What kinds of changes did you find before 10 years and right now? You might have you might have studied comparative study between before 10 years and then after 10 years when you study the situation and everything when you studied. What kinds of result did you find?
So the things that we're finding is that over the last 10 years, families are open, specifically fathers are more open to having their daughters stay at home and study.
Right.
Because they're starting to understand that there's an impact to their family that's not as immediate as, a dowry or some other arrangement for their daughters where they're working and sending money home, but that the impact is larger. That if they will support their daughters in education and those daughters get that education, the impact to the family is larger. So we've seen a change in kind of the perception of families about their daughters being in school and completing, the ones we work with anyway. We have also seen a difference in, this is an interesting one, we've seen a real difference in the communication that the girls have with their families in terms of having a voice about their futures and what they would like to do and at what age they might like to get married, and to have a voice in the decision making of all of those life milestones that are so large for a young woman. We find more of our young women going to work and then coming back to their villages to want to contribute. One of the biggest things we've seen that we think says we're successful at this as an organization is all of the young women who have stayed with us for 10 years that are now, they started out as little girls, we've watched them grow up,
Yes.
they're now young women. They have a women's club all on their own that we didn't start. They've learned to turn around and reach back for other young women. They are now using that education to help young
Good.
women on their own. And to me, that is the
That means
biggest.
that means they have got their friendship all over in the world. Also, they are extending their relationship, different kinds of relationship among the friends of different part in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then you might have achieved a certain achievement as well, like because you are making big expenses for the education of girl child. Then if I ask you, please, what kinds of achievement did you get after making a big effort through your economic service to them, and you have been supporting them through different kinds of training, you have been supporting them through fees for school and colleges as well. And then what kinds of achievement did you get right now? Then as you told that I just came to know that some became professionals and some became doctor. Do you have any example of some professionals who are making special contribution for the society and for the change making in the society?
Yes, I do. So our group has gotten together, and our girls are now, like, for instance, we have a group of nurses that have now developed their own training, and they're going back to their villages, but also within their schools. They have done programs for disabled. They have done programs for women's health. They have done programs where they go in and talk to, this one's really interesting to me. They go in and talk about young women finding their voices to be able to be empowered as young women, but they have also gone in and done programs with young men to talk about the importance of gender equity and the importance of supporting each other
Well.
as young people to move forward in a society, to make a stronger society. You know, and I they're branching out further and further into what they're able
Yeah.
to turn around and give back.
Of course, actually, of course, you have made a special contribution for empowerment, and they became professionals. And but my question that actually whether your expenses or your service for them to empower them after being empowered, whether they have been working for their personal interest or personal benefit only, or they have been working, they learn to work with the people, they learn to work with the society or not. My question actually, that means whether they have been taught to work for the people, to work for the society, to work for the nation, this kinds of feeling you have given to them or not.
They have been taught to do that from the time they're very young in our program. We talk to them about that with privilege. And so the girls that get an education are having the privilege of being educated. And that with that privilege comes a responsibility
Yes.
to give back. And that responsibility can be monetary, but it also can be in your hours and in your expertise and in coming back and helping your community
Okay,
in
yes.
a number of
That
ways.
is important, I think. Yes, please.
And we are seeing our girls do that. We're seeing them turn around, and our nurses volunteer in nursing programs, in community health programs, in blood drives. We see accountants. Our accountants are volunteering. Our teachers are volunteering outside of school
Okay.
to help children with after school programs. We work very hard at giving the message that we want to do for you, and we don't need anything in return.
Yeah.
We need you to turn around and help your communities.
Yes, of course. That is important.
That's the payment.
Yeah. So actually, I have been asking the same question, whether you have taught them the social responsibility, and because they need to work for the society as well. They need to go back to their community to work for the development of
Absolutely.
community as well. Whether they have learned these kinds of feeling out, these kinds of responsibilities out. My question. Okay. Anyway, and another thing, next question I would like to ask you that how do you collect the budget? How do you collect the budget to pay for them for the schools and colleges? Do you want to share that one or not?
Oh,
Can
no,
you
I'm
share
happy
that?
to share
Yes,
that. We
please,
do
please.
fundraising.
Fundraising.
On our U.S. side, we do fundraising, and we simply tell the story of the girls here that we're helping, and we provide a voice. It's advocacy at its best, which is giving a voice to someone who doesn't have a voice of their own. And so we will talk about the challenges that the young women have, and as well as the strength that they have, the resilience that they have, the joy that they have, even in the midst of their challenges. So the stories that we tell aren't all like sad, downtrodden stories. We tell about a culture that is a Nepali culture that is rich and beautiful, with parents who love their children and want good things for them.
Okay.
And the girls just need an opportunity. And when
Yes.
we tell people that in the U.S., many people in the U.S. who have daughters of their own or children of their own that are privileged enough to see our own children growing up, having what they need, getting educations, want to help another child do that. And so we raise scholarships.
Dr. Patrice, you are a professor as well, and so actually I'm also working here as a teacher since last 24 years. Then I just came to know one thing actually. When we prepare our students as a teacher, as a professor, as a doctor, as an engineer, I just feel that we are failed if we cannot make them prepare for social responsibility, and they don't work for the benefit of the nation and for the benefit of the society. Of course, I feel that the teachers gets failed. So how are you feeling actually? What are the differences between the students there in USA and the students here in Nepal? What are the special differences did you find when you compare the students here in Nepal and there in USA?
In terms of social responsibility,
Yes, please.
so the first thing that comes to mind when I think of that is that we actually teach social responsibility in our programming in schools.
Okay.
So that there are programs from the time children are very young to learn how to make community gardens that then provide food for the community, but it's part of their schoolwork. As they're learning agriculture, they're applying agriculture to make food for people, even when they're in elementary school.
Okay.
And then all throughout their school, there are what we call service learning projects that are required in their education. That's just kind of a constant value that
yeah,
is like a value added to their education. And we view their education as being educated, a well-rounded person, as well as in content. So we have content education and we have human development
Well,
education, and those go side by side, and they're included in the curriculum. If you look at a syllabus, you will see the content part of the class and then how that's supposed to be applied for children to learn to use that in the world amongst themselves and in their communities. And I've not seen a lot of that here.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, when you might have been especially you are working in education sector, and you yourself is also a professor and the teacher. You have been teaching there in your country, and you might have studied. You might have visited different schools, many schools in Chittagong and different part and different nook and corner in Nepal. What are the special things lacking here in Nepalese education? What are the special things that is lacking, and that has been seen as a problem, especially?
It's a hard one to answer without it sounding judgmental, and I don't feel that at all. What I see a lot is a lack of resources. Just in a lot of the schools that we help, there's a lack of teaching resources. There's a lack of resources for the teacher training.
Okay.
I think the teachers talk about feeling like they're struggling with the content themselves at times, having materials to teach with, children having paper and pencil to utilize. All those things are extreme barriers to education, and I think it's really hard to add that value added piece when the basics of education, sometimes schools are struggling to have the basics available. And then that doesn't leave a lot of time or energy on a teacher's part. Things like classroom management strategies and how to motivate students and teamwork, and those concepts seem to be difficult in many schools.
Yes, but I think I just came to know that your organization and you yourself have been supporting different schools in different ways, providing them educational materials and some other materials to empower those schools as well. Whether they have been implementing those goods and things what you have provided for the school for the benefit of students or not. What is your report, and what kinds of feedback did you get?
It depends on the school. To be perfectly honest, it depends on the school.
Yes.
We have most of the schools that we have provided information and materials to have utilized the materials and the information to the point that we feel like we need to replenish it from time to time because there's so many children and so few materials. So examples would be we've put in early childhood development materials for little kids to start the learning process through play. There's only so many toys, and there's a ton of children to play with those. The toys wear out, and then the books that you've given get worn out. We're told that they're used, and they're used often. They certainly look like they are when we go back to visit. They're just worn out. The toys, the materials, you can only provide so many papers and pencils, and they're worn down to nothing when we go back. Literally, we see children trying to write with pencils that have this much of the pencil left. I mean, they're using it to its fullest. The only thing I think we've ever provided to a school, and this was because of our lack of cultural understanding, is there was one time we were putting libraries in, and it was a very rural school, and the reading material that we put in the school was too high of a level for the age of child that we were putting it in for, and we'd put material in Nepalese and also in English, and the books that we put in English needed to be at a lower reading level, because English is the second language.
Yes,
that
of
was
course.
fair. And that was our mistake. And I think that's the only time that we have ever seen materials just not used. And we have put in science rooms, libraries, early child development rooms, and the materials are used until they're used up.
Yes, yes, Dr. Patrice, actually, I want to know from you that actually since last 10 years and 11 years, continuously you have been here in Nepal. Frequently you have visited Nepal, and you have supported different schools as well. And of course, you might have been studying the response from those who have been supported from your organization and
Right.
from yourself as well. Haven't you been sometimes disappointed from the result? Sometimes the result may be zero as well. Always you may not get proper result and positive result only. And you might have been disappointed in some cases as well. Do you have any kinds of story or events that made me disappointed? That made you disappointed?
Events that have made me disappointed.
Of course, social service itself is for happiness. You are doing something for them for your happiness as well, and then you are doing from your inner heart and mind. You are doing for them for their benefit, and in return sometimes you may not get such kinds of good response and good result that you want. So does it not make disappointed?
I think I I think I come at it with a mindset that I'm not. It's hard to be disappointed if you just choose to kind of let it be what it is, and that's the way I approach being in Nepal and trying to assist with things. Is that I'm doing the best I can, and our organization is doing all that it can.
Yes.
And then I just kind of let it be whatever it is, so that I'm not disappointed with things.
Well,
The one thing that I find
please,
disappointing
please.
is that I can't do more. Our whole organization feels that way because, it's not a one person thing. We have a board and we have a
Yes.
team. And I sometimes will be disappointed that, like, we have a group of volunteers, young Nepali women now that we've known for years, and they work so hard to get all the paperwork done and the processes ready to let us be in the schools and to run our programs. And I think sometimes because of the reputation that many NGOs have in Nepal, it makes it difficult for them to do their work, or how they might be perceived sometimes because of assisting with an NGO, that their motive may be questioned, or I worry about them sometimes. And that's I guess, disappointing. But I think the biggest disappointment is just that we can't do more. When you go to a school and you see, there's
The innocent children they have.
these children are getting scholarships,
Yes,
and
yes.
then there's parents standing with their children on the side,
Okay.
and you can't do it all.
That is happiness for you.
That is heartbreak.
Well,
Absolute heartbreak.
yes, there are many more organizations, many more INGOs and NGOs have been working here in Nepal, and there are such organizations as well, which are just pretending to work for the society, for the nation,
Right.
but in return they are getting benefit for their personal development and for personal benefit as well. But your organization since last 10 years, 11 years, continuously it has been working for the benefit of the children without any self-interest as well, So whether the government is helping your organization in positive way or not, the government of Nepal in response to your work, whether they have been supporting you or it is properly helping you or not.
We have had moments of difficulty and moments of great support. It really depends on the area
Okay.
and the government leaders that are in any given area.
Well,
We have times when government officials will come to our ceremonies and when I say ceremonies, a
Good.
scholarship ceremony
Well,
where we
well.
actually hand out the scholarships to the children. And they are very supportive of what we do in that aspect.
Okay.
We have also had times when it has been very difficult to do the work we're trying to do because of the immense amount of paperwork and documentation. And we understand that needs to be done because of the issues that many NGOs have. I think our hope is that after 10 years of working and openly showing government officials how we work, where our funds are, how it's spent, inviting them to come, we want the officials to see what we do. We
Okay.
want them to look at what we're doing and how we're
many
doing it.
children? How many children have been supported from your organization, ENG,
Oh my
Empower the Nepalese
goodness,
Girls?
over 10 years, I wouldn't even know how to answer that. Currently, we have approximately 300 girls that we're sponsoring, and we have approximately 250 to 300 at any given year. And of course, some of those girls drop out for personal reasons or academic reasons.
Well.
Most of them stay with us, but then when they grow up and get to the highest level of education they can, then we will pick up other scholarship girls. So
Okay. Instead of your continuous support as well, there did you find the children drop out?
a few, not a lot, but a few do. And some of it has to do with family issues, marriage issues, cultural issues, and occasionally it has to do with they're just not, for whatever reason, they're not making their grades and not staying in school, or a family really needs them to be working and can't support them being
Well,
in school
let me know
anymore.
one thing then. Up to which level you will support? You will support to them. Up to which level?
So the commitment that we make to girls when we take them for a scholarship is that as long as they are making their scores and doing well in school and contributing, we will support them as far as they can go in school. Now, that's not an open door to study just anything in universities. That's just a financial reason. Like, we can't afford for all of them to want to be doctors. That's just too much for our organization. But not all of our girls make the scores to be doctors. So far, that hasn't been an issue. So if they want to go to college, they go to college. If they can make the scores to go to university, we provide them the opportunity to go to university. Sometimes that's a partnership with a family. If a family has started doing better financially during the years that we've known them, then we may not be paying a complete scholarship. We may be paying a partial scholarship, and we partner with the family to do that because we want to make sure that the money is being spent for young women who can't afford the education otherwise. So if a family is doing well, we start backing up and letting the family take some responsibility and partner with us. So the scholarships kind of change over time for some girls, but if they need us to carry that, then we will.
I want to know one more thing from you. Actually, of course, then after your big support to them, after your continuous support, of course, they will be able to earn themselves also, and then they will be a doctor, they will be an engineer, they will be a professional. They start to earn as well. Whether they gives some certain part of their salary or certain part of their income for your organization or not, then do you have this kinds of provision to support your organization again after they started to earn?
We have talked about this many times as an organization and about whether that was going to be part of the agreement with the families when we started, and our organization has decided no to that. And the reason is that we don't think that these young women owe us as an organization anything. Their payment needs to be to give back to their communities and to give back to other young women that are trying to make it. And so whether that's in the form of finances or that's in the form of their time, their energy, their wisdom, their mentoring, as long as they're giving back, we never made a policy that they needed to give back financially to us.
Okay, because this is a question I'm asking you because your local municipality and the local government sometimes supports some of the backward students, those who don't have good income, and if their family could not support to them, they are supported by the municipality, and then after they started to earn, then they will have to start working with the municipality again for certain year. This kinds of contract is made. So whether you have this kinds of practice or not, or this practice can be better for your organization or just I'm asking this
I
question.
think they're just philosophical differences. There's not a right or a wrong. We just felt strongly that we wanted to give with the expectation of nothing in return. As outsiders coming into a different country and a different culture, we just didn't want to do it with an obligation on the other end. But what we did want to do is instill real strong sense of values to give back, because that's what was more important for us as an organization, is that they give back to their communities and they be productive citizens in their country, more than that they give a monetary amount
No, but
back
just
to us.
I mean to say that actually, you have collected certain support from the professors and the people, those who are earning in USA. You have made a certain fund to support them. Of course, they will grow up and then they will start to earn as well. And then I think we should collect a certain amount from them for your organization and as a volunteer to support the next children who are again being supported by our organization. If we practice like this, it will better one. This is my suggestion only. Anyway, yeah. Next question. Next question. Actually, uh, did you find positive response from Nepal government for the organization? Because there are many more organizations. I just told you that many more organizations, more than 1,000 organizations. I think sorry, 30,000 organizations have been working here in Nepal as a international organization, NGOs and INGOs who have been working in different sectors. But my question that actually many more organization has been stopped to work as well. Many more organizations still now working for the benefit of society in different sector and different nook and corner in the world. My question that did you feel that the government is supporting you in proper way?
I think I'm probably one step away from that in terms of, I think where the support comes in is whether or not they're supporting the young women on this end that are trying to get the paperwork and the everything in to do the work we're doing. And, we're doing our work. So I would say, yes, we're here and we're doing our work. Is it easy? No.
No.
No. Do we feel like we just get lost in the shuffle sometimes, or that the expectation is that somehow we're like other NGOs that might be doing business for personal gain? There are a few times when I would love for some of the government officials that are over NGOs and such to really come and pay attention and look at what we do, because we're so proud of it and we're so proud of the way we do it, that we're so careful about our scholarships and being clean and transparent and making sure that the money goes exactly where it's supposed to go and that it's for the children, and that when we come over here, we don't spend any of our, when we say volunteer, it's volunteer. When I come here, I pay my own way. We don't use scholarship money. And when we do a project that's separate from scholarships, we raise money separately for that, so that when everybody in the U.S. gives $1 to a scholarship, that can only be spent for a scholarship. And we are so careful about that, that I would love to hear somebody say, we are so pleased with the way your organization is doing business.
Okay. Next question. Yeah. Next question. Then, of course, I think this is an organization. Empower the Nepalese Girls is an organization to work only in Nepal. I think yes.
Yes.
Do you have such kinds of organization to work there in other countries as well?
No,
No.
we are dedicated right here, and we have got all we can handle here. And we know the system, and we have support here, and we have support from the schools and the districts that we work in. We know the principals that we work with. We know the families of our girls. We know the communities and the culture. We've been doing this for 10 years.
Okay, I think you have been related to Fulbright as well. What is Fulbright actually? Then because you are the specialist, I just came to know that you are the specialist of Fulbright as well. What is Fulbright and how does it work?
Well, it's a major honor to be a part of Fulbright. It is really one of the highlights of my career. The Fulbright is founded as the #1 most known educational exchange program for students and professionals around the world. And the goal of Fulbright is to build relationships amongst the people of the world, to build diplomacy and relationships, to problem solve, to share information, and to make the world a better place by doing that. And so in order to be, we have Fulbright commissions in many, many countries in the world that we partner with from the U.S. to exchange students, to exchange ideas for professionals that are considered the best in their field, to share information between countries, and to share cultures and to form friendships that move beyond what governments sometimes can do, because it's at a person-to-person level and the politics are not involved in it.
Okay, that is it is not actually the government level organization. No.
It's run out of Washington, D.C. through the
Okay.
State Department,
Yes.
and it's often associated with U.S. embassies in other countries. But we are they call it an apolitical organization, meaning that we don't get involved in the politics.
Okay.
The organization does not get involved in the politics of other countries.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Actually, it's not a political question, but actually related to politics as well. Here in Nepal, actually, especially the communist parties and communist leaders, doesn't take USA in positive way because they believe that actually USA is an imperialist country. Then, being you as a citizen of USA, as a professor of USA, when you visit Nepal, what kinds of response do you get from the Nepalese people?
I get a beautiful response from the Nepalese people. I have had nothing but warmth and welcoming and a willingness to share and to want to teach me about the culture and share the culture with me and trust me with their children. I've had nothing but a beautiful response ever.
Okay, because there are many more issues that are related to USA. Because last time also, that there has been big problems because of MCC and then other different projects that has been launched by USA. So I just want to know from you that actually whether what kinds of response are you getting from people, because there are many more political issues which has become the biggest issue in Nepal. So I'm asking this question. That means you are feeling comfortable here.
I am feeling very comfortable here.
Well.
And I have people often make the comment to me here, professionals that I work with here, after we get to know each other, they will say, I'm so glad that we had the time to sit together
yes.
because we are not our governments, we are people. And
Yes.
typically
Good.
between people, we don't have any issues.
You have been
We
working-
have so many
yes.
things we share where
Yes.
we talk about things related to our professions, but we also talk about personal things related to our children and parenting and
Yes.
how we feel about life and our dreams. And there's things that we have in common that we share, and then we share our differences, which are our cultural pieces.
Well, the next question I would like to ask you, the last question, I think, because I think you have written a book which has been released last time there in Nepal as well. Yeah. Could you tell me something about the book that you have written, please?
Sure.
Yes, please.
I published a book through ECTA Publishing while I was here as part of my Fulbright specialist. So my job here during that time was to work with ICMS, and we were developing some curriculum for psychology studies at a master's level and doing some training for faculty, and to
That is
raise
for Nepal or USA?
for Nepal,
Yeah, for Nepal.
and to raise mental health awareness. So Nepal is has a long way to go in terms of mental health awareness and understanding mental health. The professionals that are working in that field are very overworked and without a lot of understanding of what they do for mental health issues. And so it had been brought to my attention that there was a real need for lay people to have some training about what to do when someone in their community was suffering from depression or was suicidal or high levels of anxiety or other mental health issues.
Yes.
And so I decided to write a book at a very layman's level, and it's called Helping Others.
Yes, yes. I
And
know
it's basic concepts of psychology and training and intervention for the everyday person that wants to help, that's a leader in their community, that maybe others come to, but they're just not sure what to do with all of the...
Did you conduct any kinds of workshop programs and training here in Nepal that is related to your subject as well?
I conduct workshops every time I'm in Nepal. I have two pieces of what I do. So one is a higher ed piece and a training and a mental health awareness piece that is usually done through higher education institutions, as well as workshops and conferences, mental health conferences that I'm invited to keynote speak at. I've done some work through the Red Cross here following the earthquake as well. And then the other part is the NGO work with the schools and the children. So I'm always on two tracks when I'm here. One track has to do with empowering Nepali girls. The other track has to do with raising mental health awareness and doing anything I can to provide resources and information for that.
Okay, I think we will have to end this program. From Everest Television. Finally, before concluding this program, please, do you want to say anything from this television, please?
I just would like to thank you so much for the warm hospitality and the welcome always in Nepal. You have an amazing country and a beautiful people, and I am extremely honored to be allowed to visit and be a part of it. And thank you for having me here today. I appreciate it.
Okay, from television entire team, please, I would like to give special thanks on behalf of a television side as well. Let me thanks once again for you, please.
Thank you.
दर्शकवृन्द, कार्यक्रम संवादमा आज हामी संवाद गर्दै थियौं प्रोफेसर प्याट्रिस मोल्टनसँग। उहाँसँग रहेका विज्ञताका विषयमा, उहाँले नेपालमा गर्दै आउनुभएको सामाजिक सेवा र विभिन्न सामाजिक क्रियाकलाप र त्यसले पारेको सामाजिक प्रभाव र शिक्षामा उहाँले गर्दै आउनुभएको जुन अनवरत प्रयास छ त्यसले ल्याएको रूपान्तरणको विषयमा आज हामीले प्रोफेसर प्याट्रिससँग हामीले कुराकानी गर्यौं। कार्यक्रम कस्तो लाग्यो यहाँले प्रतिक्रिया दिँदै गर्नुहोला। कार्यक्रम संवादबाट आज हामी सबैलाई बिदा दिनुहोस्। नमस्कार।